Morning. Um, it's the last day before I put my yellow flag out to say that this exhibition's on. And, it's not like I'm expecting hordes of raging tourists to flood through to see my eccentric folk ensemble exhibition from very talented friends. But what I did do this morning was I started writing some catalogue notes, and it turned into another personal lecture statement, which I'm not sure if anyone needs personal lecture statements. But to me, this exhibition underlies broader social forces and existential ones and political ones. And that isn't to make light of the Palestinian situation or a people being murdered, or the very real reality of what we can only imagine genocide to be. Um, but I'll read my statement um, so I'm not repeating myself. Thank you. Catalogue notes. Recognising Palestine. Kiwi artists respond. I'm blown away by the willingness of artists I've asked to participate. Mainly people I've known over the years, an eccentric, rich, genuine gaggle of talent. I wanted to legitimise people's expressions as relevant on the issue, which is an existential one. Man's cruelty to man and the extermination of a people. As one artist said, this could have been any of us. Underlining this exhibition is great tectonic geopolitical prophecy and moral, spiritual, personal questions around personal liberty, responsibility, and democracy. Artists are quite familiar with living in the margins themselves, especially in neoliberal digital cultural rewrites. Yet to feel, to make, to think, to say is an internal act. In this case, to violence to a people which New Zealand is party to the criminals. We say no, we are not dehumanising in ourselves. We are not dehumanised in ourselves not to notice. No, our Western colonial war machine of former empires' ruthless domination, subjugation of people, land, and cultural ethnocide is evil. To feel, to understand, to process trauma in any form, to make art of tragedy in the wake of often intergenerational wars. And this has happened to all of us, people. Intergenerational wars is a spiritual act of having a soul, a sovereign self, to know thyself. I wish the Palestinians their homeland and peace, to process, heal, and grow. I want the war machine of Anglo-Western petrodollar debt slavery to be dismantled, and rule of international law of sovereign independent nations, of whole people. We in the colonial West are in a deep denial about the way in which exploitative power rules in mafia-like world war perpetuating tragedy. New Zealand is not innocent and is sliding into a dark fascist moment, which I don't believe represents Aotearoa and the beautiful people who live here. These are my thoughts around the show as a Kiwi artist. I've done this show for many reasons. Personally, I lost my family when I was 7, a 7-year-old boy. And the violence in New Zealand has always haunted me. That violence is systemic, of empire. It's not of my true self or ancestors. Art is a meditation in creation of self and culture. Humanity and heart, life and soul are what's important. not the machine and money, death and power. It is philosophical and spiritual. It is existential threat to our being, this age of dehumanization and the synthetic over the sanctity of ancestor and a people. Underlining recognizing Palestine, for me, is recognizing myself and my culture and the forces of oppression active in our dehumanization. All wars are banker wars is a maxim that is true. And when a tiny minority of corporate entities or their AI systems start to treat humans as cattle in a death farm or as a disease profit prison plantation, I'm asserting a God-given right to dream a folk immune system, a cultural response. Men traditionally build, nurture and protect. Before families were destroyed, I'm a surviving son of early eugenics experiment in New Zealand, and there's an instinct to nurture and defend still. I call it my art and community. James Robinson. Thank you very much.